Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? So here's another unit that I ended up finishing the leveling up for the Link skills. So I really did want to cover the Janemba unit and see how much of a difference the level 10 Link skills are pretty much an impact on the overall stats, both offensively and defensively. So you kind of saw the potential levels and the skill orbs equipped on the unit. Let me just start off by covering the impact of all these guys in terms of the Link levels and whatnot. So it is maxed out at level 10 for each. For big bad bosses, again, it's an attack and defense increase of 25% without the HP restriction. The shocking speed is key +2, defense increase of 5%. Transformation type is 5% HP recovery, and attack and defense increase of 10%. I think this is Brutal Beatdown is attack increase of 15%. And let's see, what else do we have? So Nightmare is attack increase of 15%. Fear and Faith is all enemies defense minus 10% and key +2. And then finally, Fierce Battle is attack increase of 20%. Now, I typically try to set up rotations on, the category setup and team build that I would typically run. The only anomaly with this is I left the Strength Cooler untransformed just to, fully take advantage of the passive skill that unit provides. Again, of course, in most settings you would transform the unit, but in this particular showcase, I did want to keep it non-transformed just to, see the maximum boost that Janemba would get. Now, with that being said, the two units aren't necessarily covering all the links, but because of the overall, way or method I like to run, this is kind of, a little bit closer to the standardized approach. So that's pretty much, why I'm going through it that way. I do have units like Turles, and I think the EZA Intelligence Metacooler as well. Obviously Kid Buu for the massive support as well. So, a good overall setup, and the fact that Janemba is able to hit pretty much like 5 million attack stats along with the massive defensive abilities, it really does make this unit quite good. I'm still a firm believer that this unit's EZA is not certainly overrated. I really do believe that this unit is probably one of the best EZAs that they came up with so far, and it really does show with the additional leveling up toward the Link skills. It does make a pretty massive difference overall. So I don't know, for those that are unfamiliar, I guess we can talk about the stats a little bit. So with the super attack, with the EZA, it causes immense damage to enemy and greatly lowers defense. That's probably why you saw the additional skill orb equipped toward additional attack. I have them at level 10, so I did focus a little bit more on crits, but level 10 additional should serve well in terms of the potential additional super attack for greatly lowering enemies' defense. In terms of the passive skill, it's an attack and defense increase of 70%. Guard activated against all types, and then medium chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attacks for 1 turn, and plus an additional attack increase of 40% for 4 turns when guard is activated. So again, this guy is quite good both offensively and defensively. I do have rotations on here where it's got the Strength Cooler as well as the Intelligence Metacooler. Now, if Janemba's sandwiched in the middle between both units, all Link skills will be covered, where they're pretty much shared amongst the two units. But given the 4-turn restrictions, sometimes you do have to put them back in the first slot in order to really get that additional attack increase, because it does make quite a bit of a difference. You can talk about essentially going from 3.5 to potentially 4.6 million, depending on if that secondary passive is active or not. So it does make a pretty big difference. So ideally the way you want to run this guy is typically in the first slot as really a tank, dodger, defender. But now with the additional upgrades, he was already good offensively with pretty decent attack stats, but again, with the level 10 links, it definitely does make this guy really, really good. I mean, it's to the point where it's ridiculous. I mean, for a TUR to be able to hit for 5 million attack stats, that's actually pretty amazing. So, definitely one of my favorite units. I do run this team in category a lot, and this guy definitely is a starting 11 type pick. He's always guaranteed for a spot because of just how good the unit is, and it's that's the reality. I know I hear some people or players, talk about this guy's overrated or massively overrated, whatever the case is, but the practical use of this guy is just that beneficial. I mean, I tested this guy on the Legendary Goku event after the, after maxing out the Link levels, and, he makes that obviously a pretty big joke. And yes, the final battle against the, UI Goku, obviously you can't dodge, but even then, this guy can activate the guard and, effectively guard against all types or all attacks, with also, medium chance of evading attacks outside of the very last battle. So he can still offset some of the the potential handicap by, guarding effectively. So I really do think this guy's a phenomenal unit. The only other question, it really does beg the question though, since we do already have the EZA Super Saiyan 3 Broly EZA available, it does make me wonder what they're actually going to do with the Strength Janemba version. Obviously they have to make him, better than the INT version, but I just don't quite know what level of an upgrade they're potentially going with. So that's probably one thing to consider. But for the time being, this guy's quite good and very well worth including on a team. So that's all I have to say about that. I talked about it in the last video when I did the Strength Cooler showcase, but yeah, this category is probably the category combination of Conquest of Terror and Transformation Boost is certainly still one of my favorite teams to run. I just have such a good time, running through it. I'm the type that typically watching movies, I'll root for the bad guys. So when I have all these extreme type villains on a team, that's right down my alley. You know what I mean? So that's really the type of teams I love to run, and it's a lot of fun, especially with Cooler, Janemba. I mean, you've got Broly, Turles, Kid Buu, even the Golden Frieza in some cases when it applies. Yeah, they're all quite ridiculous, and it's a very fluid, balanced team. They have a combination of very good offensive striking units as well as very good defensive units, so it's a good combination, very fluid. Again, I enjoy it quite a bit. But Janemba, of course, is one of the highlights out of that. I mean, 4.8 million attack stats. I mean, you really can't. There's no complaints there. I mean, it's very, very good, and I'm highly satisfied with the way they not only implemented his EZA, but the implementation of the Link skill levels is certainly a very good thing. I mean, it takes a while to grind. I mean, it took me forever to grind through some of the units, and finally starting to get to the showcases and whatnot, but it's very well worth it because it does make a significant difference on the types of setups that you can potentially run. I guess the only problem with Janemba though is the fact that he only falls into two categories, right? Movie bosses and transformation boost. So there's a little bit of an issue in that regard, I guess. But outside of that, I think it's fine. I mean, the two categories, movie bosses, transformation boost, you could run a combination of a couple of variations. Again, Conquest of Terror and transformation boost is certainly a very good one, and definitely does link well with a lot of the units on the team. So overall, very, very solid unit, I think, in my opinion. The stats themselves are obviously pretty good with the EZA. I mean, you kind of saw it earlier with the enhancements with the skill orbs and potential levels, but maxed out at Rainbow without any skill orbs equipped, you're looking at 16,215 for HP and 18,685 for attack, and defenses 11,495. So even without any skill orbs attached, this guy's still very good stat wise. And along with that, you have a lot of different levels of potential builds. Again, I went with more of a focus on crits, level 15. I did assign a skill orb to this guy to where he did flatten out at level 10 for additional attacks. So, you could certainly go a little bit higher toward additionals, just to, continue to, greatly lower enemies' defense. But, again, he's a hard-hitting unit as well as defensively good. So I was perfectly okay with the, 10, 15, and 5 setup. I really don't think you need to focus too much on dodge here because of, the built-in skill sets that he already has. So I know before the EZA, most people probably had a heavy focus toward additionals, or maybe a combination of additionals and evasion. So people definitely did have to, readjust after the EZA was announced and we all found out about the stats. But luckily, at the time, I pretty much just went with a focus on crits, so I didn't have to change much, fortunately. But again, like I was testing this earlier, and the Infinite Dragon Ball History event with the Broly version, it's typically pretty difficult, I guess you could say. But yeah, running through this with the upgraded link skill levels, it made it a complete joke. I mean, it was ridiculously easier than what it used to be. So I guess in that sense, a lot's changed, and it really does define potentially where the direction of the game's going. What I mean by that is we're probably looking at some sort of incredible difficulty type stage. I don't know what they're going to do necessarily with the new additional stages for Super Battle Road, but because we already do have the link skill levels implemented in the game, I feel like they might raise the bar a little bit and make it a little bit more difficult. Now, we do have a new LR coming out with that, which is a free-to-play reward that you get from completing the runs and missions, but yeah, I do have a feeling they might raise the difficulty level even for the Super Battle Road setting, because of how much of a difference these link skill levels basically make. I mean, that's really the way to look at it. Is yeah, I mean, it does make quite of a difference, and you do see it from time to time, especially Cooler when I last showcased them. I mean, it was just ridiculous how good these guys ended up becoming. So it's certainly a game changer, and it's a good game changer. I'm glad they finally rolled this out. It's a good way to grind out, and even if you don't potentially have dupes or whatnot, it's a good way to increase stats and abilities a little bit to a certain degree. So I think it's certainly a good thing, and I'm always a fan of improvement and process efficiency or whatever the case is, and in this case they definitely did it right. So I'm certainly happy about that. But alright, with that being said, this is the showcase for the 100% Potential Intelligence EZA Janemba. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later.